Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the Thames Valley. The Victorian drain that has already caused months of rail disruption through Aylesbury. Engineers rip up the tracks, but will it solve the problem once and for all?
More than 4,000 appointments cancelled to date at the Royal Berkshire because of strikes as junior doctors prepare for another walkout. We hear from the hospital's chief executive.
Also tonight, the rise of the uniform swap shop, why more families are turning to them for school clothes and the cost of living crisis.
And the sculptor behind the Arborfield Garrison horses unveils her latest piece of work, cast in bronze. But will it be a case of you can't always get what you want, or satisfaction? Good evening. Rail passengers in Aylesbury face months more disruption as a crumbling drainage channel is replaced and work on the new HS2 high-speed rail line gets underway on the same stretch of line.
Earlier this year, faults were found in a Victorian culvert that takes floodwater under the train tracks. Network Rail carried out emergency repairs, but engineers discovered the whole system has to be replaced. Penny Sylvester has been to see the work being done.
This is the Grand Union Canal Basin in the centre of Aylesbury, and it's right next to the train station. If there's flooding here, the water spills into a culvert that disappears underground beneath the nearby tracks. Earlier this year, Network Rail discovered the drainage channel was crumbling. They put in massive supports to hold up the brickwork, but when there's heavy rain and the culvert floods, engineers can't monitor those repairs. That's meant repeated delays for train passengers, forcing them onto replacement buses between Princes Risborough and Aylesbury, Aylesbury Vale Parkway and Amersham.
When we've had flood water coming through, it gets to a certain level and then we've got to close the line again because we can't see the props. And if we can't see the props, we don't know whether they've dislodged. And if they've dislodged and the train comes over the top of it, we want to make sure that train has got perfect passage across the top of the rails.
I'm standing right in the middle where the railway lines used to be, and as you can see, they've all been dug up all the way through here. This is the culvert. I'm standing on top of it now. It's about that far below my feet, where all the water from the canal basin and overflow water comes through and underneath and disappears off. Passenger trains and freight trains going over the top, so they have to replace it. The water now, in order for them to do that, is being pumped through these pipes over the top, all the way through down here, where then it can disappear downstream and into the waterways.
The flooding has been compounded by summer holiday traffic on the canal.
With the passage of quite a lot of canal users enjoying the canal waterways, 2 or 3 lock passages at a time, that's 200,000 or 300,000 litres of water heading into our culvert.
In order to replace the culvert, it has to be completely drained first. The overspill into the channel is constantly monitored as engineers install dams either side of the railway lines and are pumping the water away. But when reconstruction is finished at the end of next week, it's not the end of misery for rail commuters. The line between Princes Risborough and Aylesbury will stay closed until the end of October as preparation work for HS2 trains gets underway.
We're really sorry for the disruption this has caused. I can imagine the amount of disruption it's caused visiting families, friends and for work. But do check before you travel. Make sure you're connecting with the bus service. And hopefully in the next few weeks and then after the HS2 work, we are back to usual and you can enjoy the railway as it should be all of the time.
This first phase of work here is on schedule, fixing the problem for train passengers once and for all. Penny Sylvester, ITV News, Aylesbury.
Patients using the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading are being warned that hundreds of appointments have had to be rescheduled because of an upcoming junior doctors' strike.
The industrial action takes place from Friday until Tuesday, the 15th of August. It comes on top of previous strikes by junior doctors, nurses and consultants across the Thames Valley. Mel Blaw has been at the hospital.
Yes, joining me is Steve McManus, the CEO at the Royal Berkshire. Mr. McManus, the hospital is facing another period of significant disruption due to the latest rounds of strikes by junior doctors. How are you preparing for that?
Well, unfortunately, we've had quite a lot of experience now around our preparations. We have got a really well-versed way of making sure that we're focusing on the critical areas within the hospital that we have to ensure that consistent cover. Our absolute focus is making sure that our patients are safe throughout this period. However, that does lead to some decisions that we need to make around where we need to step back from some levels of activity to focus on those areas like the emergency department, like our critical care areas, our maternity services, those sort of areas where we absolutely have to make sure that we've got 24/7 cover.
So by stepping back, do you mean cancelling appointments? And if so, what sort of appointments are you cancelling?
Yeah. Absolutely. So again, it's a huge apology to those patients and their extended families that have been affected. We've had to cancel and rebook over 4,000 appointments to date through the industrial action, and there'll be further planned care appointments, so some outpatient appointments, some appointments for diagnostic investigations, and some levels of kind of planned or what we call elective treatment. We'll absolutely endeavour to get those patients rescheduled as soon as we possibly can, but it clearly does have an impact on the patients directly, but also on our staff who are seeing actually increased levels of sometimes aggression to them because of the impact of having to make those decisions to cancel and rebook.
The NHS is already facing the biggest backlog in its history, and now appointments are being pushed back even further. There will be lots of concerned people. What do you say to them?
So I think the team here are doing absolutely everything they can to reduce the waiting times. It's a really important focus for us here. They've done brilliantly in getting the number of patients down who have been waiting the longest time to a very small numbers now.
And lastly, what's your message to anyone who finds themselves needing emergency treatment here at the hospital over the coming days?
So firstly, it's likely to be busy here. On Monday this week we saw over 500 patients attending our emergency department. So it's really important that people look to make decisions about using other services, using NHS 111 online or ringing NHS 111. Here in Reading, there is the Reading Urgent Care Centre, which is in the Broad Street Mall in the centre of Reading, open 7 days a week between 8 in the morning and 8 in the evening. So if you may have an urgent care need, there are lots of opportunities to get advice and guidance where to go. Really, if you have got emergency or life-threatening needs, we would really urge people only then to come to the hospital here. But also, if you have got an appointment with us but haven't heard from us about rescheduling your appointment, we still want people to keep those appointments until they hear from us as well.
Thank you, Mr. McManus. So just to reiterate that message then, only come to the emergency department if it is an emergency.
Mel Blore reporting there. A teenage boy is in hospital after being stabbed in Reading. Police received a report of a fight in the Hemdean Road in Caversham just before 1 a.m. Two 16-year-old boys from the town have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. There is an increased police presence around the area, but residents are being told it was an isolated incident.
Residents and visitors to Winchester will see a big hike in parking charges after the City Council increased Sunday prices by 710%. It means that for more than 4 hours, some car parks have gone from £2.10 to £17. The council says it's trying to reduce pollution and that there are many free parking spots just a short walk away from the shops. But critics say it will put off shoppers, churchgoers and hamper trade.
They are being unreasonable, and it's the overnight charge. It's not just about the Sunday. The overnight charge will affect businesses, it will affect theatre goers, church goers, and also it's just not fair.
You're watching ITV News Meridian in the Thames Valley. Coming up.
Why Genie is finding it impossible to find a new home to rent as estate agents say a lack of properties is leading to bidding wars.
And the statues of rock legends created by an artist from Andover, but can you guess who it is?
And for more news from across the Thames Valley, please go to our website itv.com/Meridian. A school school uniform swap shop in Portsmouth says it's busier than ever and helping hundreds of parents. That's despite government rules intended to make school uniforms more affordable.
The Children's Society says uniforms are becoming a financial burden for families and more needs to be done to ease the pressure on parents. As Amrit Birdie reports.
This uniform swap shop in Portsmouth was started to help struggling families with the cost of school uniforms. And they say this year demand is higher than ever.
So we've had a lot of families approach us over the last year to help with uniform. We've had 1,081 families last year, and the demand this year is about the same. We're going into the busiest time over the summer, so we are expecting those requests to really ramp up over the next couple of months.
Their story matches up with the national picture, which shows that the cost of secondary school uniforms is on the rise. According to charity, the Children's Society, on average, parents are spending £422 a year on secondary school uniforms. That's up from £337 in 2020. They also found that 29% of secondary school pupils are required to own up to 5 branded school items.
Parents are struggling right now. Life is hard for too many families. People are struggling to put food on the table and to pay the bills. School uniforms should not be breaking parents' banks. And it's coming into the season now where parents are going to have to think about this because September's around the corner, and I know there are too many parents stressed about this right now.
Earlier this year, several charities and trade bodies signed a letter calling for the removal of VAT on school-specific uniform items. The Schoolwear Association backed the campaign, but they say spending money on uniforms should always be seen as an investment.
What people need to think about is what uniform is, and it's an item. It's items of clothing that are worn for 195 days a year. It lasts a long time, so yes, there is a cost in it, but actually, what's the alternative? And that we strongly believe that alternative would be more expensive than the cost of a uniform, which is built to last and built to give good value over the lifetime.
In 2021, the government published guidelines for schools to keep uniform costs down, including keeping school-branded items to a minimum and making sure that second-hand options were available. The government told us they expect all schools to be compliant by next month, and that they will continue to work with responsible bodies and schools to ensure the guidance is followed and uniform policies are reasonable. But for those parents shopping for uniforms this summer, there's no guarantee it won't break the bank. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
A woman from Hove says she's found herself in a bidding war with other renters in the search for a new home. Jeannie Jones says more regulation is needed as finding a suitable property is becoming a nightmare.
It comes as an estate agent in Eastleigh says a lack of housing in the market is seeing more people having to pay above the asking price. Katie Ridley has more.
Jeannie from Hove has been looking for a home to rent for the past 3 months. Her landlords are selling the flat she currently lives in. She says finding a place has been impossible, with some renters turning up with large amounts of cash just to secure a property.
4 of us turned up at the same time. I turned up on time, a couple turned up early, another one turned up late. So that's 4 of us all in one go. And one girl there, we got chatting and she had the money on her for a deposit straight away. And again, that wasn't in great condition. The photographs wasn't reflecting what the property was like.
Jeannie's story seems typical of the situation many renters are facing right now. According to Zoopla, the typical let has increased by 11%. Many estate agents like Chris Myers in Eastleigh in Hampshire blame bidding wars on lack of available housing.
In terms of our location, that bidding wars has become a thing of the norm. I do think that comes back again to interest rate rises, where a lot of landlords now, where they've seen their mortgages go up, it has caused a sort of an exodus to the marketplace, reducing supply, causing tenants to, the need to over-offer on property.
The government says the Renters Reform Bill promises a better deal for both landlords and for tenants. It says it's doing all it can to bring the rental market into the 21st century by investing in new homes and affordable housing. But the lack of available properties isn't the only issue. The cost of living crisis, rising mortgage rates and inflation are putting pressure on landlords.
But if we look at the Savills report of a couple of weeks or so ago, landlords are actually making a lower return, or the lowest return since 2004. So it's not as if landlords are profiting off of the back of this crisis. They're simply trying to keep afloat.
It seems to be a global issue right now. New Zealand has actually banned bidding wars, while a rent cap has been put in place in Scotland. But there's pressure for more to be done here.
The government needs to step in. We need to have more homes built. We need to have more choice for renters about where they go, because otherwise they're going to be trapped in poor quality accommodation, or they're going to be trapped in bidding wars which they can't succeed in and find themselves on the streets.
Some regulation needs to be introduced. This is a free-for-all. It's a serious free-for-all, and it's just snowballing into a nightmare for thousands of people.
It's a big issue for those in the rental market, and it's showing no signs of being over soon. Katie Ridley, ITV News.
Now it's time for the sport with Andrew Pates, and what a great night that was for Reading fans, Andrew.
It certainly was, wasn't it, Sangeeta?
It was indeed, at last.
At last, too blooming right. Good times are on their way, hopefully, for the Royals. It was a great night for Reading and Portsmouth, less so for Southampton, as the first round of the Carabao Cup delivered highs and lows aplenty. The boys did an amazing job from the first minute until the end of the game. The thoughts of Reading boss Ruben Selles, who saw Kelvin Abachaman score in that first minute and poke home again shortly after the break. A fine free kick from Charlie Savage and Mamadi Kamara sliding home at the end of the game, rounding off a truly great night. It's 3 goals in 2 matches for Australian striker Kusini Yengi. Zach Swanson weighing in with a great finish, before new boy Yengi made sure of a place in round 2 from the spot. It's not been a great 24 hours for Southampton fans, dumped out of the cup by League 2 Gillingham, and this morning finding out James Ward-Prowse is due to join West Ham. A late Charlie Alcaraz goal and promises of new signings offering some hope. Things were looking up for Crawley when Clady Lolos gave them the lead, but like the Saints, the Red Devils are out of the cup and can now concentrate on the league. And it's goodbye to the Robins too. Penalty shootout heartbreak after Swindon had drawn with their League One opponents. Now, basketball is one of the fastest growing sports in the country, particularly among young people, with more than 1 million players at all levels. However, the sports administrators say funding isn't keeping up with the increase in popularity and more needs to be done. Here's Kevin Ashford.
Basketball, it seems, is booming. Teams like the Reading Rockets say they've seen an increase in the number of people playing.
I think since COVID it's grown and grown. A lot of kids managed to get baskets during that period of time and have really enjoyed playing what is a fast participation game. I think in terms of adults, because of the fast-paced nature, the sort of family environment, it's a really great game to play.
More than 1 million people in the UK play basketball. It's the joint second most popular team sport behind football. And 14% of 18 to 34-year-olds take part in the sport every week.
Understood? Yeah. Let's go.
There are schemes to widen basketball's reach. This programme is bringing together pro-level coaches and youngsters.
Why do you like basketball?
Family, a love for the game, and a different perspective on life.
I like basketball because it's fun and I get to make new friends.
It teaches me a lot of life skills, it teaches me to always be hardworking, dedicated, and just I love the sport.
However, many in basketball say the sport battles to get financial backing. For instance, funding for UK basketball for the next Olympics is much less than that for equestrian sports or for sailing and canoeing.
People in the game have earned their stripes for many, many years. And we just want a level playing field to support young people and fulfil the potential and do all those things in the community that matter to people.
UK Sport, who fund elite athletes, told us they were committed to powering a broader range of champions and medalists and they recognise the power of basketball to help achieve that. And Sport England, who fund grassroots activities, say money is going into basketball.
There is an argument about funding always, because there's never enough to go around. However, Sport England's got over £10 million going into English basketball right now to get more people on courts, to do up the courts, to get more people playing, to get the talent system going, so that we can capitalise on what happened in Birmingham last year when the men won a gold medal.
Basketball England is publishing an independent study later this year to demonstrate the social benefits of the sport, which it says are worth hundreds of millions of pounds. And to use that study to encourage both the public and private sectors to invest in basketball. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Big up the basketballers.
A slam-dunking performance, Mr. Andrew Pate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, she is well known for creating breathtaking bronze sculptures in our military towns across the south.
Artist Amy Goodman from Andover in Hampshire is behind landmark statues like the Gurkha sculpture in Aldershot and the town's airborne soldier unveiled in 2019.
As well as the life-size bronze war horses at the former site of a horse hospital at Arborfield Garrison.
And Romsey's famous war horse commemorating the valuable service of the animals in war unveiled back in 2015.
Well, now Amy is behind a rather different commission to sculpt two music icons at their hometown in Kent. James Dunham sent this.
Well, these statues really are impressive. Here we have Keith Richards. The detail is truly spectacular. Look, you can see the skull ring there on his finger playing the guitar, and beside him we've got Sir Mick Jagger in full performance mode, and in the middle the sculptor of these amazing pieces. Amy, you've come all the way from Andover to deliver this art here. How does it feel to see them?
It hasn't sunk in yet. I still haven't properly seen them from a distance since the unveiling, but it's a very overwhelming special day and I've loved sculpting them. And isn't it lovely the sun has shone in Dartford? But to sculpt these icons has been an absolute dream, and I just wanted to capture something of the life, magnetism, charisma they have on stage. And yes.
And that really does show in their poses. You know, Richards here looks really into it with his eyes.
And originally I had his eyes open and I thought, no, lowered eyelids, he's got to be lost in his guitar. He's playing his famous Fender Telecaster Macorba, 5-string, open G-string tuning to create his really distinctive sound. And I also wanted them in different levels, and, you know, Jagger's kind of strutting and running across the stage, and, I want them to have some life and movement.
You've produced so many pieces, but how did this compare in terms of getting the detail right, the expectation as well? Because presumably there was a lot of pressure on you to get this right.
And, it pushes me to hopefully do the best job I can as a sculptor. But it is quite nerve-wracking. It's wonderful, exciting, overwhelming, daunting all at the same time. But, when I was making them, I was playing their music and I just got lost in it, surrounded myself with resource material. I love their music. So
you're a fan?
Yeah, no, I do. I love their music. And the opening riff of Gimme Shelter, I can play that song hundreds of times, but actually during the making of them, it opened my mind to so many new pieces of music and their huge back catalogue. And they're incredible. They're icons.
This was obviously a big challenge. What comes next for you?
Well, I'm in the amazing position of I'm just starting to sculpt our late Queen for Test Valley Borough Council. So I'm pinching myself. I'm going with this momentum right now. It's a dream job, and I love it.
Fantastic stuff. Well, good luck with that one. He's done an incredible job with these two here. There we have the artist from Andover who is documenting history in this bronze way.
Amy Goodman talking to James Dunham there. Great, I thought, really like that. Got the lips perfect.
Absolutely, and sunshine there for the Stones. To our very own rock star, Philip Petru, who's here with the weather. And you've been promising warmer temperatures and more sunshine, and it's finally delivering.
It's kind of happened today, hasn't it? Yes, some lovely blue skies, definitely feeling a bit warmer than it has done in that sunshine. And it's really shown in a couple of pictures from Robin Boltwood. This was the scene at Corfe Castle this morning. You can see some lovely blue skies there. Very different to what we had yesterday. Robin Boltwood was out at Swanage yesterday, and it was leaden skies and rain, so very, very different. And it's all borne out in the temperatures as well. So yesterday we peaked at 18.4 Celsius in Bryce Norton. Today we've been a whole 7 degrees above it, 25.4 at Lark Hill on the Salisbury Plain. We'd actually have to go back around 3 weeks to find the last day we got above 25 Celsius, which at this time of year is quite a stretch, and especially in the context of our warming climate as well.
And when I did look up, just seeing the blue sky, it just seems like we haven't seen blue skies for a while. And fingers crossed they stay that way into the weekend.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for some more blue skies by day and also some clear skies by night, because if you are an avid sky gazer, you'll know we're in the midst of the Perseid meteor shower. Now, it happens at roughly the same time each year. It's going to peak this weekend, so Saturday night into Sunday morning will be the peak, but a pretty good view over the next couple of nights. We're expecting around 100 meteors to cross the sky per hour, so lots of chance to see it. But how do you see it? Well, find a good spot where you can get a good view of the horizon and as little light pollution as possible. So some meteor showers to see. Will there be any rain showers? Let's get a check on that full forecast.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
So it looks as though we've got another fairly promising day on the cards tomorrow. A good deal of dry, fine and fairly warm weather too. But as we head into the weekend, a return to something a little bit fresher and a little bit more showery too. Out there at the moment, we're looking at largely clear skies, any patchy cloud gradually dissipating. And overnight tonight, with those clear skies and light winds, we could well see some areas of mist and fog developing. For all of us, it will be quite a muggy night, and temperatures for many probably not falling below 15 or 16 degrees. So tomorrow morning, a bit of mist, fog and low cloud around initially, but this should quickly disperse, and for the rest of the day, it's looking pretty promising. A good deal of dry weather, plenty of sunshine and still those light winds, all allowing temperatures to rise even a little higher than today, peaking at around 26, perhaps 27 Celsius in 1 or 2 spots. These are the times of high water for tomorrow then. For Ventnor there, 6:37 in the morning and again at 7:10 in the evening. So another quiet day on the cards for tomorrow, but you will notice overnight into Friday we'll see a little cold front working its way eastwards across the UK. That will bring a few showers, but probably not amounting to too much. What it will do though is it will introduce something a little bit fresher once again. So as we head into the weekend, a mixture of sunny spells and a few showers, a dip in temperatures once more and a little breezier with it too. Take care, I'll see you soon, bye-bye.
Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
In just a moment, the ITV Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Stacey will be here with your late update just after 10:30. For now then, from all the team here, thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.